Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. My name is Mel Rose. This is the Tarot portion and the second half of my daily astrology vlog, which you can check out on my other channel, Astrology Today with Mel Rose. Over there, you'll find a description of the day's astrology as I have spelled it out here. Here, I will discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page, and then I'll play another card that, in the context of today's astrology, may just give us something more to think about. So, let's get into it. The card that currently sits on the side of the page is the Ten of Wands, and it is here because it corresponds in astrology with the last 10 days, or the third decan of the sun's transit here in the land of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign, and wands in tarot represent fire element symbolism, and fire element symbolism is really about what fires us up and gives us the will to act, that makes us want to take action, the sort of fuel we have to burn in order to take action, and also sort of reflecting on the actions that we've taken, the pride we take in the work that we've done. It includes creativity, it includes passion and inspiration, drive, momentum, initiative. These are all fiery qualities. And so we come to the Ten of Wands. And, I like to think of wands as markers of achievements. Each of these being, a smaller goal that we have reached in order to get to this point, the 10, where we have reached a larger goal. So those wands all represent achievements, and this is the whole bundle. This is the end of the road. It's the last, we've collected the last wand we have to collect, right? So it's quite an accomplishment. It's worth recognizing it for yourself or allowing other people to recognize you for it as well. But it is also the end of it is the end of a journey, okay? So don't try to carry this set of accomplishments any further as though you just finished them up, okay? Because they're not going to have the same value for you once you're done doing this work, okay? And you see that the person in the picture here, they kind of bent over with the weight of carrying these wands. And furthermore, their head is bent into the wands, so they can't really see the path forward. They can't see where they're going, okay? So let's not become so focused on what it is that we have done that we are not able to see the way forward, okay? And not able to think about what happens next. So that's the guidance that comes with that. And, really, again, end of a path, time to lay this burden down, time to say, yes, this was my responsibility and I completed my responsibility. And so now it's time for me to move on to the next step. And with that said, I'm going to toss this card. Oh, I got the Tower. Speaking of endings. Okay, so, the Tower is tends to be sort of a dreaded card in the tarot, but basically, it looks pretty terrible, right? It looks like somebody clearly somebody clearly built a structure that they thought was meant to stand for a long time. More than one somebody was relying on that structure for sort of shelter and support. And, things fall apart. Lightning strikes. Kings and nations fall. I see that crown there, and that's what I think. And, once the structure has been sort of demolished and set fire to, it's not really an inhabitable thing anymore, okay? So understand that even though you might really do everything right in the accomplishment of certain goals, especially goals that are meant to create a sense of security and stability in your life, even though you might do everything right, sometimes things just fall apart, okay? But the hopeful message of the Tower is really that, endings are followed by beginnings, okay? There are no endings without beginnings to follow them, right? And when that Tower falls, what we're left with is the raw materials to create something else that represents, our new version of security and stability in the world, because clearly that version didn't work out for us. So, we can try something else. Okay, the tower is followed by the star, and that's a sign of hope and renewal, and our ability to sort of get back with ourselves, remember who we are, and begin again to build something for ourselves that offers us support and has value. Okay, so again, things fall apart, stuff comes down, crap occurs, right? Nations, kings, and regular people fall to the ground. I like to say sometimes about this card that, like, of the people you'd like to be in this picture, you probably don't want to be the person who got ejected and impaled on the rock. You probably don't want to be the person who got ejected and you don't know what their future is. In fact, you probably just want to be the person standing over here watching all this happen, okay? So keep your spidey senses on. If you are one of those people who, knows when it's time to leave the party before the police show up, that's the kind of spidey sense I'm talking about. It's just about, understanding when things, when there's a vibe in the air, like things might fall apart, understanding when the clouds roll in and you start to hear the thunder, that it might be time to create some distance between yourself and that situation that's coming under fire. All right. Better to watch it come down from a distance than to be in the middle of it while it's happening. And where do we see tower vibes on the card? Well, I mean, that's very much like Pluto and Capricorn to me. This is the Pluto and Capricorn card, because Capricorn is really about setting goals and achieving them through hard work, and it's about building things like material things for structure, stability, and security that will have a lasting value for us. And then Pluto comes through Capricorn for the past 20 or so years and says, yeah, things are going to fall apart. This thing you thought was going to stand forever, I'm going to poke holes in it where it's lacking integrity, where it can't respond very well to the elements as they are now, and that edifice is going to fall. Okay, so Pluto's been doing that, and Pluto can be really abrupt. Pluto is our farthest out planet, and so they say, that those outer planets have less of a direct effect on our lives, and that they're more generational, and that they're more collective sort of vibes. And it's true, like the people who are born with Pluto in a certain time, in a certain sign are all sort of usually from the same generation of people. So, there's a large collective of people born with Pluto under Capricorn over the past 20 to 25 years, for example. So, that's one thing to say. But Pluto, I have noticed, is also, sort of one of those management team kind of planets that will come in and say, oh, I see that you did this, and it wasn't part of my plan, Oh, I see that this is where you're at, but that's not where I expected you to be. So kerblam, kerblooey, let's move you on over here. This is where we want you now, okay? So Pluto will bring about like really drastic, like life-altering changes, sort of, either gradually and slowly over time, or if you don't move with the changes gradually and slowly over time, if you're not paying attention to what the constant urge for transformation is asking of you, then the transformation is going to happen very quickly because you resisted it, right? Or were just oblivious to it. So don't be oblivious to the transformative vibes that are happening in your life, okay? If something in your life is calling on you to have a transformation, to wake up to something, to understand that no matter how good you do, something might fall apart here pretty soon, or just to understand that nothing that you build is necessarily going to last forever. It's always going to keep growing and changing. If you're not an acknowledgement of that, if you're not working with those transformative vibes to also always be growing and changing, you might have you might find something coming to a really abrupt and fiery ending. Okay, so that's why I make it my practice to always be thinking about the transformation and change that's coming up for me. Taken together with the 10 of Wands, it's just one kind of ending and another kind of ending. And wands are fire, and we see the fire caused by the lightning strike in the picture of the tower. So let's talk about, let's talk about the difficult side of fiery impulses, and that would be like restlessness, impatience, impetuousness, and those are kind of irritation, irritability, irascibility. Those are kind of nice ways of saying like anger can come up. Fiery personalities can tend to get somewhat angry. The anger just comes out. There's not a lot of control over how or when that happens. Okay. And, in this 10 of Wands, you might feel quite accomplished by the time you get to this end point, but you also might feel a little bit angry and embittered over, a little spicy about all the work you had to do, and look at everything I did on my own, that kind of thing. So you might really be ready to put those wands down and move on, right? And then the Tower says, when it's time to move, move. When it's time to be done, all right? When it's time to let go, when it's time to leave the party, when it's time to, change houses or make a big change in your life, when you see that coming up and you know that it won't be avoidable, when you see that you're going to have to even change your thoughts, attitudes, and dispositions about something so that you can, maintain the security that you've found in your life, then go ahead and move with it. Go ahead and, lay down the old responsibilities, lay down the burden of keeping this one thing the way it is, because nothing stays the same forever. Okay. And just be ready and willing to move on. Okay. And especially if you're starting to feel angry and embittered about something, I've always noticed in my life, I'm 50. I'm close to 50. I've had a few jobs in my lifetime, and I've always noticed in my life, with various jobs that I've had, that as soon as I start hating the job and like actively hating the job, like, oh, I hate this job, I'll say it out loud. I'll resist having to go. I'll drag my feet getting ready. I'll show up late, that kind of thing. The moment I start to really feel bitter or angry or resistant in some way to this thing that I worked to get to build security for myself, that thing starts to go away from me. Okay. Like eventually, if you hate your job, eventually you're going to quit, or you're going to get fired, or, something terrible is going to happen. You're going to be like, I got to get out of here. Right. So just understand, especially if you're becoming impatient, or if you're becoming restless, or if you're becoming very irritated with the situation that you're in, even if you chose this irritation, even if you chose these responsibilities and these structures for security, understand that when you start to have those fiery sort of negative emotions toward the thing, it's really time to start thinking about moving on, because that thing's gonna fall out from under you eventually. Okay. And I think that's all I have to say about it, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate your presence here. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.